Frank Skinner. Absolute Radio.
So it was Jane Horrocks said the reason she did all those... what was it? Was it... What's the...
was it Tesco?
Wait, Sainsbury's? Wait. Anyway, the reason she did all those supermarket adverts, she said, is the money that she made from that meant that she didn't have to do rubbish television. Now, she's made a basic error there. That's like saying, setting fire to my house has stopped me from losing my house. Anyway. Oh, sorry. They were discovered discussing Jane Horrocks. This is what it'll say on the write-up. This is Frank Skinner. This is Not the Weekend podcast. I'm with Emily Dean and our guest presenter, Laura Solon.
Yeah. I'm liking having another lady about.
Yeah,
Two ladies, one Frank.
I love it. Oh, blimey, that was loud. Sorry if you've just fallen off your train seat. If you listen to this on the iPod, a lot of people listen to this on the iPod. Some people on the laptop, some on the old Dandy radio set. See how it goes.
Frank, I'd like to kick off with an email, if that's okay.
You're going to kick off? OK, fine.
This is from Elisa Winton. And we were talking on the last podcast, I think it was, Laura, about Frank's unfeasibly large head.
Unfeasibly?
Well, that's not my opinion, I hasten to add.
No.
That's very much Frank's opinion. He told us that he had a big head.
Well, I was told by a wardrobe lady that me and Benny Hill had got the biggest heads in British comedy. Of course, he's not using his anymore.
I was told I had a big head and very broad shoulders.
Broad shoulders you've got?
Oh, you've got a lovely, delicate shoulder.
Nice thing to say to a lady.
No, I wish someone had said that to me.
Massive
But
head,
with me, they just
broad-shouldered.
said big head.
Well, Elisa Winton, she shares your pain.
Oh.
She's writing in, she says, Dear Frank, I was most pleased to hear you mention your hat issues in this week's podcast. I too have a surprising...
Bless you. You see, hat issues. Bless you.
You're explaining it to me because I'm a lady.
I'm explaining it to both of you because you're ladies, and any ladies listening.
I too have a surprisingly large head, not in a moon shape kind of way, you understand.
No, God, no.
Indeed, from the front I look quite normal. No, it is the lateral dimension that is the trouble.
That's what I've got. It's from the back to the front.
You'd never guess until I have to put on a cycling helmet. The cries of, oh, everyone looks bad in them, soon wane once people actually see me. Problem is getting the depth to match the width, to avoid it sitting on top of my head like an old man wearing a baseball cap.
Oh, no, the feeling.
So, Elisa says, you may be interested to know that I've since found myself to be a size 7 3/8.
I can still beat that.
Really? What's yours?
I'm 7.5.
Is that too big?
She's a lady.
That's way too big.
Is that you have to shop at a special hat shop called Wide and Round?
I just can't take on a hat.
High and Mighty.
I can take on a hat with elastication. A baseball cap, I have to leave. You know the bits where there's like a bobble and a hole at the back of that strap? They're just dangling down, oh, down, oh, down, oh. I can't fasten my baseball cap. And the straps are
they're like a
dangling down.
hospital operating gown
It's
on
a
Frank's
horrible
head, aren't they?
My head is so long from the front to the back. I once I held on to one end of a tape measure and threw the body of it way back to see how far back, and it just landed on my head. It didn't reach my nape.
Would it be an aerodynamic head for cycling? Then they speed cycle and their hats are quite like that.
Yeah, but you see,
It'll cut through the air.
I don't think I do.
Is
you
it
see.
taper or is it a block?
No, it's just it's long. When I had very short hair, if you looked at the side view of my head, the ear looked like a small mollusk on a wide expanse of deserted beach. I think that's the best description I can come up with. But you know, yeah. So it causes all sorts of problems.
But it's nice to know there are other people similarly afflicted.
Yes, and I wonder if Elisa, like myself, has thought about. Well, I've thought about 1,000 times. Phoning the trade descriptions people. And saying, excuse me, I'm looking at a label that says one size fits all. Can we talk? It's difficult.
Frank, I'd like to...
It's good since I've had the Dandare radio sex. It means I can play Dandare and the Mekon with a bit of green paint. The Mekon is a large-headed alien, in case you're wondering. I'm imagining most of our listeners know the Mekon is, don't they?
Oh, I would hope so.
Good.
It's very much their oeuvre, I think.
Oh, it is. I couldn't eat anything now.
Laura was talking about waterproof books earlier.
Oh, Laura was talking about this.
I'd like
and Laura
to
was
interrogate
talking-
her further.
I read the story this week that the first waterproof paperback hits the shelves. Now this is an idea I had in the 90s. I said there should be waterproof books because I kept dropping my book in the bath. And now it's come out, and this is the same as my idea for the duvet coat, which was a duvet that you can wear, so when you feel a bit tired or ill or hungover, you can walk around where you live, and wherever you lie, you're covered in a duvet. You don't have to go and get it from the
Slanky.
bedroom. This is the point. I'm on a flight last year. I opened the in-flight magazine telling me what I can purchase. There it is. A blanket with footholds, a slanket. Someone is stealing my business thoughts.
Well, I came up with the idea of an in-flight magazine.
Did you? Okay. In-flight reading.
I said to Wilbur, right, I said, if you're going to be up there that long, Wilbur, you're going to need some reading material.
I don't act on these business dreams.
No.
And people laugh at them when I share them with people, and then 10 years later someone else is making possibly millions from it.
That I can understand your frustration.
But, Laura, I'm not a fan of the concept of the waterproof book, though.
But what?
Well, I just
Do you
think...
enjoy-
I think
Maybe if it was how to swim. That would be handy, because when I
Why
have to
do-
keep going over, gasping to the side to turn another page.
Why do you
Well, I tell you why. I like a tear stain, perhaps. I like a yellowed edge. I like a thumbprint. That makes them precious, the kind of
if you
perishability of the
You
book.
drop the book.
And I don't want it to look like a curry menu. That's the problem. And I just don't like I don't like that feeling on it. Makes
They're
me
not
feel a bit sick.
laminated, though, are they? It's not lamination.
It's a wax.
A waxy
and-
seal.
And that makes me nervous.
Yeah.
That makes you anxious, or no?
It does.
Yeah.
Well, I mean...
Wipe clean books. I suppose that makes it more sinister. And
It is a bit. I just think there's a sense of antiquity about books, which I like.
maybe not waterproof, but bath-proof then. So it's not all fluid. It's just for
But I
when
would
you read them.
never read in the bath.
You wouldn't.
Really?
If you had a waterproof, I suppose I could read it in the shower.
Yeah, exactly.
Really, let's
the
test
rain,
it.
yeah.
Let's road test that. I nearly swore then. I stopped myself. I didn't actually swear. I was going to say the first part of the swear word.
Oh, I know.
Which was sort of the maternal element,
Yeah, I
the swear
understand.
word, rather than the sexual, I was going to say. But then I thought, well, no, because I don't like the implications, is what I thought. But yeah, you could read one of those books in the shower. You could read it in a canal.
Yeah.
You could read it. You could read it in the womb. Obviously, there'd have to be other preparation. A friend of mine. What about this? You're talking about the missed idea. I still don't understand this. A friend of mine. She said, I've had this idea for a book. What I'm going to do is I'm going to interview all my female friends and any women that I know, and I'm going to see what's in their bags, because I think you can tell a lot about a woman's personality by what's in her bag. So I'll write what's in the bag and then, do a little bit of an interview with her about those things. And I said, well, that's a great idea. Do it. Do it. And she said, I am. I'm working on it now. I've already done about 6 friends. Brilliant. So anyway, I'm looking at the paper about 3 months ago, and this American guy has brought out this book, and it's called something like You Can Tell a Woman by Her Bag, and he's done exactly that thing, right? So I sent the link to her, and I remember that thing. There used to be an advert on the telly for the GPO, and it would say stuff like. The slogan was, I saw this and thought of you. And the idea is you see something. And
Yes.
I remember writing it on dog excrement once before I put it through a sex offender's letterbox. Anyway, I sent an email of this attachment of the book, and it said, I saw this and thought of you. And she texts back to me, yes, I must get down to writing that book one of these days.
Oh.
And I thought, hold on a minute. It wasn't supposed to be an aide de memoir. It means you've been beaten to the punch. So just fine with it. Let's do another one.
Well, I admire her optimism,
Well,
whilst at the same time having a certain amount of contempt for it.
Well, he wouldn't necessarily write the definitive what's in my bag
no,
analysis.
but who's going to buy? Oh, I might buy another one of these books.
Yeah, I wonder what else.
See what else is in
people's
other
bags.
people. Exactly. Where
It's
would
like
that
dream interpretation. It's not all going to be the same, is it?
What about my flavoured pen tops? I mean, that still hasn't caught on.
No, funny that.
No, I thought you could have. Well, there would be one size fits all. You put them on the. You replace the blue, black, or red or whatever on your biro,
So instead of chewing the end
and you could have licorice, strawberry.
like a lolly.
Yeah, so when you're chewing it, it'd be nice. Well, I see. I was. My plan was I'd say that, and you two would go, "That is," and I think that I knew it. I'm just basically
that's
what
a
I'm doing.
Dragon's Den pitch.
I'm testing it. Yeah.
Because actually, lots of those I did. And the man that went in and pitched the wheelie suitcase that kids can sit on, and you pull them along. It's a kid's suitcase, and everyone said that's a ridiculous idea. And he's made a lot of money.
Well, what about, Laura, the 2 ex-Big Brother contestants who had invented the mini tea bag bin for the kitchen worktop, which you actually bought, Frank, at one point.
I did.
2
like
ex-Big
that.
Brother
Did they invent
contestants.
the
Great
concept of a small bin?
Yeah. It was destroyed,
can
of course,
claim
by
that,
my
can they?
girlfriend throwing a frozen loaf at me. That's what happened to our small bin. The wheelie suitcase, though.
Yeah, little wheelie ride on animal suitcase.
Oh, Frank hates wheelies.
I hate wheeled suitcases of any kind, really, but I do like. You see, as a
You
child,
enjoy difficult travel.
well, as a child, I was sort of promised by a lot of programs like Tomorrow's World the moving walkway.
Oh,
I thought pavements.
that would be everywhere.
I thought I'd step out with my school uniform on, or perhaps actually after I'd left school. I probably thought I'd be about 20 before it came out. And, you'd go to work or to the pub accompanied by the same piece of dog excrement.
If you were lucky.
Yeah. And then when you go past the sex offender's door, you're ready. But it's never happened. You get the ones in airports.
Yeah.
I think I recently read a short story about one. Actually.
Was it written by Tony Parsons?
TP. It's one of TP's.
Was it inspired by the remarkable events that go on every day in Heathrow Airport?
I believe
like
it was.
moving,
In and around
Yeah.
Terminal 5.
Yeah.
Not 4.
like moving walkways and W.H. Smiths.
I wish someone would write a
Collection of short
a
stories.
short
about it.
story about the people who don't use the the moving walkway in an airport.
I
That-
sometimes don't use
Don't
them. You know
you?
why? Because people who get on the moving walkway don't understand that if you don't want to walk on the moving walkway, you stand to one side and you let people that do want to walk who are late for their flight go past.
Oh, people who are late for their flight. What's the point of having a moving walkway if you're going to walk on it?
Because
That's
you're
a
going
belt
to
and
get there
braces
quicker.
approach to
Frank,
speed.
I always remain stationary on the moving walkway.
too.
Just in case anyone was curious, that's my position.
I always
It won't
stand.
change.
I march down it. I like the feeling of fast walking. But then when you get off, it's quite dangerous because you've got to go from moving very quickly to stand
You're
still.
a bit of you strike me as a bit of a tarmac pelter. I see
Yeah.
you as one of those people pelting
I
up
get
the tarmac.
pavement rage. I think there should be, instead of a cycle lane on pavements, there should be a lane for tourists and people who are just browsing,
Do you know
and
we've
a
had
lane
this-
for people who've got places to go.
Do you know we've had this exact discussion before on this show? Because I am a bit of a pedestrian racer, and people
Dawdle.
people
Dawdling.
with 2 carrier bags, they're a roadblock.
Also, people who suddenly stop to answer their phone. There's a natural flow of foot traffic, and people who suddenly stop. It's like people who stop when they get to the bottom of an escalator.
Well, only last week I was talking about when you cross a pelican crossing and people step right, people start turning left or right already. And I've decided now what you need to have to stay in your lane when you're crossing on a pelican and then wait. Anyway, this won't put Rob Bonnet back on 5 Live. Sorry, I've misread that. This won't put the bonnet back on the baby. My other book thing of late is I've got it's a peculiar obsession I've got, is that I like to make my bookmarks opposite to the book.
Oh, lovely.
So I'm reading a book called
For example?
or Bob Dylan Behind the Shades. I'm reading at the moment.
Oh, I wouldn't want to see that.
And I'm using a Bob Dylan concert ticket stub as the bookmark. It's perfect.
oh.
You're not a page folder.
Oh God, no! I'd never.
No.
No.
I like the relevant bookmark. Any other?
Yes, I'm reading. I read several books at the same time. I like to mix the fiction and the non-fiction. But my other non-fiction piece at the moment is The Secret Life of Trees, for which someone gave me a suede. I'm saying suede bookmark with a picture of a tree on it, and I'm using that.
It's nice.
If I look into my heart. I can't be absolutely certain I didn't buy that tree book because I had the bookmark.
I like the.
It's a chicken and egg.
So from now on, I think all your bookmarks should just be relevant to the book you're reading.
Well,
then.
that's right. I'm reading Fatherland by Robert Harris, which is what would have happened if Hitler had won the war.
Yes.
And it's Germany, 1960s Germany.
Robert
under
Harris,
Hitler.
another friend of my parents.
Is that right?
But-
Anyway, I'm using a train ticket from North Allerton to London terminals. And I thought it was vaguely relevant because Hitler famously made the trains run on time. But then I had sudden doubt. I had a big dictator doubt that it was actually Mussolini that made the trains run on time. And then it struck me, get this while we're on the subject of dictatorship, that Mussolini and Hitler, if you take the first parts of their names, they're muscle and hit. Very aggressive,
yes.
masculine, whereas we had church. Goodness
Oh,
and
that's
peace.
rather
Dictator.
fascinating. Yeah.
We're not saying he was a...
No, I'm saying he's in opposition.
Yeah.
Yeah, what about that? Think that
I
over.
love that observation.
Yes, thanks. You can quote me on that if you like when you're on the train.
I won't go that far, but I enjoyed it.
Just press pause on the podcast and say to that person next to you. It's weird, isn't it, with the right-wing dictators of the 20s and 30s? The first parts of their names form muscle and hit. Make of that what you will. Anyway.
Frank, I've just thought of a good bookmark you could have. You could have, for a Christmas carol, you could have a Christmas card that you'd been sent from the Mirror journalist Carol Malone. That would be great.
That'd be brilliant.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be... it's too big a price to pay. Yeah. If I got a Christmas card from Carol Malone...
You'd have to go and
Yes.
step outside, talk to yourself.
I'd have to... it'd be another hunt for dog excrement.
Would she send you a round robin Christmas card? If you got a round robin Christmas letter,
What, with a round robin on it?
from Carol Malone, what would you do then? That's worse than a Christmas card.
Well, any contact with Carol Malone.
When the News of the World closed down, there was a picture of all the journalists drowning their sorrows in the pub. And I love that I spotted Carol Malone in amongst the throng with a glass of white wine for the lady.
I'm surprised you recognised the scene. The photo at the top of her column was taken in 1968. Anyway, that's enough. That's enough Malonian.
Now, Frank-
Home Alone.
Frank,
I'm not. I don't mean that. I'm sorry.
I need to offload, Frank.
Oh, what's he?
I was, I beg your pardon. It's not as bad as Bob Dylan behind the shades.
No.
But I was on the receiving end of, I'll call it a miscarriage of justice. I'll
Do.
go that far.
Okay.
Recently. Now that's one of my worst things. Just so you know,
What a miscarriage of justice.
Yes, or any sort of wrongful conviction in a social situation.
Tell me about it. I was livid about the Dreyfus affair. Absolutely livid. I said to Emile Zola, I said, write it. No, go on, write it. They're good just talking about it. Write it.
Well, Frank, it's why I can't watch The Fugitive. Why would I sit through 2 hours of that hell for the 8 minutes of relief at the end? It's not worth it. So it's
You keep my love life out of this. Anyway. Yeah, so what's happened to you? What was the injustice? Did it involve furniture? Oh, no. OK, so we'll just have a little moment here.
Okay.
Everyone gets their breath back. I'm actually having a cigarette.
Oh dear. So, I'd actually been, my wrongful conviction, Frank, it occurred in a cab. Don't panic. But
I'm all right so far.
Okay, I was feeling rather chatty and garrulous. You know, you see me when I've had a couple of drinks, Frank. I get a bit larky.
Yeah.
And I like to think I draw people out of their shell. I see it as a bit of a social challenge. So I do chat to a cab driver, often a black cab driver.
Just out of interest, do you, technical question, when you talk to a cab driver, do you look at the back of the head, or do you? What I
In
don't
the mirror.
I don't like the eyes in the rearview mirror.
No.
I find that I don't like it.
No, I don't. I agree
These
with
are men one often hears condemn the burqa, and then they subject us to a similar. I know they're there. I know they're doing it to me, but I always look at the back of the head.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. And it's relevant for this tale I'm about to share with you. I start conversing with this cab driver, making pleasantries, as I'm sure anyone would with a cab driver. Oh, we've been busy tonight then? He was a little bit wary.
Oh,
He
yeah.
said, yeah, sort of. Oh, OK, bit of a challenge to me, I'll carry on. I said, yeah. I said, well, you know, it's Friday, they're normally quite busy, aren't they? Sometimes.
Oh,
So this
dear.
carried on. I wasn't really getting much back from him.
Surly cab driver.
Yes.
I can't believe it.
So I eventually just said, "Oh, are you busy tonight?" Then I said, "What time do you finish tonight?" He actually turned around, mid-drive. He said, "Look, love, don't take this the wrong way. It's very flattering, but I am actually engaged." I am not joking.
Hold on a minute.
I would open the door and just throw myself out of a moving vehicle. I'd be so cross.
I can't.
I would put on a bathrobe.
I can't straighten up. I've got into squirm mode, and my elbows have locked under each rib cage.
Maybe the back of his head.
Oh.
Maybe the back of his head is his best feature in the tracks.
Yeah.
Maybe he's had a lot of women offer themselves up to him.
Emily thought he'd be looking at the back of her head.
Can I be
before the
honest?
night was out.
He was...
Yeah, come on.
No, he was no Fassbender. He was... I would describe his looks as sort of regional Jerry
Can't
Seinfeld.
have been. He was engaged.
Regional Jerry Seinfeld.
Regional Jerry.
Do you know what I mean by that?
Market
Yeah.
Town Jerry Seinfeld.
Jerry Seinfeld without the LA dentistry is what we're dealing with here.
You see,
Okay.
but all men assume that there's a chance
Yes.
that all women will do sex on them. I think all men always think there's
I
a
think
chance.
you're so right,
There is
Laura.
a chance.
I don't.
However big the
can't.
age gap or the looks
It's
gap,
true,
there is a
Frank.
I
chance.
can't agree. No, I'm au contraire. I always think, I've been told in the past that my problem is I always am pretty confident they won't. And then, well, they do. No, I wasn't going to say that. I mean, I don't think all women are going to, I don't think I'm in with a chance with any. Okay, I touched
Oh,
the
come
producer's
on.
bra strap earlier. If that's what's the elephant in the room, let's get it out of the way. I
You're a
accidentally,
sex pest.
I was just trying to get her attention. I tapped on the back, I touched the bra strap. I mean,
You brushed her bra
Well, I didn't.
strap
I
and
mean,
then lingered.
I know, but I mean, and also it was at the clasp. You know, it was like a significant. It was almost as if I was, trying to come here. And, I felt terrible about it. I've apologised, but
It was a bit first prom.
I can tell there's a bit of a thing between us now. I'm not easy about it. I'll tell you what does surprise me about this story more than anything is that men never say I'm engaged in my experience.
It was an unusual...
It's the women always say.
Unless his fiancée had put a listening device in his cab.
Maybe, but that's why I think there's no tradition of the male engagement ring. Is that
Yeah.
men don't really have a concept
Yes,
of being
you're right.
engaged.
Yeah. You're right.
But
Well,
it
they're
shows-
still really on the market
What
until
did
they get the ring on.
you say to him?
What do you think I said, Laura?
No, but did
Well, what I didn't like
Oh.
is that he wasn't good looking. He wasn't what I call dignity risking. That's what I objected to. Look, if he'd have been
It's a
handsome...
good criterion for a partner.
Yeah, if he'd have been drop dead gorgeous, I would have thought he had a right to say that. But regional Jerry Seinfeld, So it was there was a bit of a Mr. Frosty moment after that.
What's that?
Yeah. I said, I beg your pardon.
What, you made a mojito?
took a while, but then so back to what you were saying about.
He then
I think
said,
that one's got malaria from a mojito.
did you?
Carry
He
on.
said, Frank, he then said, which irritated me even more, he said, in another life, maybe.
Oh, what?
What, was he a Time Lord? Was
In
he
another life,
a pre-regeneration
when
Time
I've
Lord?
come back as a woman with very low self-esteem, I will sleep with you.
Yeah.
Actually, speaking of in another life, I was listening to BBC News this morning, and a man on there said, until you've been on a space hopper, you haven't lived.
Oh.
I don't think that's correct, is it?
No, that feels like if it was correct.
I just don't think it's. I think
Yeah.
it's a minor experience at best. I'm still fascinated by the engaged thing, though. What a
Yeah,
thing to
I'm
say.
engaged.
I'm engaged.
I'm engaged.
It shows how resourceful people can be when they feel
It
genuinely
shows-
threatened.
It shows how he was thinking. I think it shows that he was
I've
thinking
told
about
you,
you in that
Frank.
context.
Regional
You see.
Jerry Seinfeld. It was never
Yeah.
going to happen. Well, it got rather ugly after that, I'm afraid. And I didn't want to engage with the man any further.
Did you argue against the accusation?
I
though?
briefly did, but then I lied and made up a husband because I thought it was the only way to prove my point. So when he dropped me off, I think he was looking at the light to see if anyone was in. But I didn't tip him.
Really? Oh, no, you don't want to tip him after that.
No.
After he's insulted you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because even though you weren't making an offer, he thought you were. So it's a
Yeah.
slap in the face at best.
Exactly. And as I say, not good looking enough, sorry. But I agree with Laura. I think men Men do tend to think. I think they're much more more optimistic than women.
But what if you'd say giving him a £2 tip and he'd given it back and said, look, for the last time I'm engaged.
Don't go anywhere.
I mean, how terrible would that have been? Oh, a fiver. No,
If
no,
he said,
really.
sorry, I've only got a £20 note, and he'd gone, I'm not keeping the difference.
Yeah.
Put it away.
For the last time,
Yeah.
leave me alone. Oh, it's I do feel your embarrassment, though.
The physical turning round. That's what was
But
awful.
also, it's what you would say. It's like one of those situations where you're like, I wasn't trying to come on to you, but that's exactly what you would say if you
If you
had
were.
been. So there's
Yeah.
no way that the tone of voice is the same.
Miscarriage of
Yeah,
justice.
miscarriage of justice.
There was no
that's really
escape.
frustrating.
It's awful. But at least he turned round. You weren't looking at him in the rearview mirror. At least when you looked him in the eyes, they were the right way around. That's what puts me off. I don't want to be looking at a man's left eye and it's really his right eye. It's like those Van Gogh self-portraits. It's just a lie. What else?
Well, Frank, have you seen there's been a list published this week?
Oh, there's a list published every week,
It's
let's
not-
face it.
No, but this isn't McCarthy or anything sinister.
Okay.
This is quite a benign list. It's 9 things never to say to your husband. Now, I'm not married. You do live with your partner, and
I'm
Laura
married,
is married.
yeah.
So I'd like to hear what Laura has to say. Some of these phrases, it was a psychotherapist, Judy Ford. I don't know if it's any
I
relation
read that
to
as
Gerald.
psychopath. It was a psychopath, Judy Ford.
She's very upfront about it. Up front, rather.
9 things never to say to your husband, where's my axe?
I was in a pub once in Blackheath, and someone was talking. This guy said, "Well, look, I'm a burglar," and I find that very bold thing to come out with. Anyway, carry on.
Some of did you see them, Laura?
Yes.
They ranged from when are you going to find a new job, which I grew up in a house of actors, Laura. So in my house, that was just a reasonable
Yeah.
inquiry. Have you got a softly or a Z cars? There was nothing
Yeah.
unusual about that.
That was an embroidered
Yeah.
sampler on the wall. Yes, I made a lovely bless this house for to hang up in Smethwick Social Security.
You're just like your father.
My mother warned me you'd do this. Wouldn't it be worse if it was your mother warned me you'd do this?
Yes, that would be good.
My lover warned me you'd say that. That would be worse.
My mother.
Your brother told me you'd say that.
You're just like your father. Could be a compliment. Depends
Yeah,
on the father.
it's
If
your
Jesus
father.
of Nazareth said it, that's a lovely
Your
thing to
father
say.
was a market town Jerry Seinfeld.
The one that doesn't go down well in our house, I think,
Yeah.
that I say occasionally is, "You're not going to eat all of that, are you?"
That is
Frank.
That's not okay.
That never goes.
No,
Never goes well.
never successful.
Kat's got two. When we're falling out, Kat's got two basic, a sort of pincer movement attack that she adopts. One of it is she talks about the sort of the golden age of my personality. 2 years ago, you used to be such a lovely, sensitive bloke. I get nostalgic for that man.
She buys it on eBay for
Yeah.
£43.
Exactly. But it's really very undermining
Yeah.
that, because it's, in a way, she's praising me. But
Yeah.
she's praising the old me.
It's the skill
Yeah.
of passive aggression that
Yeah.
ladies learn. when
And the
they
other
grow up.
one is she'll bring in a second opinion.
Oh.
Like, we'll have an argument about something, and she often quotes her sister Rachel. And she'll say to me, Rachel says you've seemed a bit brittle just lately.
'Cause that validates it with a third
well, suddenly it's
party.
2 against 1,
Yeah.
There's been
Yeah,
market
it's
research.
Been noticed. It's been noticed.
Yeah, the market
Yeah.
research Jerry Seinfeld, that's what I call it. But I thought all those, they're...
Yeah, my husband said, which drives me mad. He says, what we're going to do from now on, when he means what you're not doing at the moment. What we're going to do from now on is not leave towels in the corner of the bathroom. And do you know, reverse psychology, it makes me leave them there even more.
Yes.
what we're
well,
gonna do.
Surely you can't leave any more than 4.
What? How many? You don't know how many
well,
towels I've got.
well, I don't
you
know.
know how
You
big
could-
my bathroom is.
you could have an
My flat-
octagonal bathroom,
My flat is
I suppose.
80% bathroom.
Is it really? I love
Yeah.
the sound of it.
I love it.
Wow, it must have been a hell of a grouting job.
Like a bunch of seals in there.
What do you mean? Oh, well, it's...
Well, I've always found in relationships, never went down well. Have you seen the 100 Greatest Comedians on Channel 4? That never went down well.
No, I'm not a fan of that one.
No. But also, if a girl says to a man, when the mobile goes off and they get the bleep, and then you see them look at the phone and then there's a silence.
Yeah.
And then you ask in a very high-pitched tone of voice, who is that? That never goes down very well. That always ends in a row of some sort.
I look over the shoulder, that's my thing.
Do you?
Yeah.
What, the text?
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah, if I'm suspicious. Yeah. If there's been I've been away for a couple of weeks, I get back, there's a smell of pipe tobacco in
Old
the scullery.
Spice.
Stand there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Turns out it was that lesbian from number 37. Anyway, we know. Live and let live, that's what I say.
This is Frank Skinner